You think you know oatmeal. Right. That warm, comforting bowl that's been a breakfast staple for years, perhaps even a part of your routine for decades. We've always heard it's the picture of health, good for the heart, packed with fiber, a perfect way to start the day. And, for the most part, that's absolutely true. Oatmeal itself is a nutritional powerhouse. But what if I told you that something as simple as adding the wrong thing to your morning bowl could completely change it, could turn that nourishing meal into something that actually works against your body, leading to discomfort, digestion issues, energy crashes, or even messing with how your body uses those good nutrients? It sounds surprising, maybe even a little worrying, doesn't it? We often grab the nearest sweet treat or quick topping without a second thought, assuming we're just making our healthy breakfast a little tastier. But some of those common additions, things you might have in your kitchen right now, can create a kind of chemical conflict when they meet the complex structure of oatmeal. It's not that these foods are bad on their own, but the combination in your stomach can lead to unexpected problems. The good news is, once you know which combinations to avoid, you can enjoy your oatmeal and get all the benefits it's supposed to give you. In this video, we're going to lift the lid on 7 common foods that can turn your wholesome bowl of oatmeal into something far less friendly to your system. Stick with me to the end because what we reveal might truly surprise you. And learning this simple information could make a world of difference to how you feel after breakfast. Let's dive right in and start with the first food you might want to think twice about adding generously to your morning oats. And that's refined sugar. Now, I know. A little sprinkle of sugar, brown sugar especially, seems like a perfectly natural addition to make oatmeal more palatable. We've seen it done for generations, in cartoons, on cereal boxes. It's just what you do. Right. But here's the thing, especially as we get a bit older, our bodies process sugars differently. When you add a significant amount of refined sugar to your bowl of fiber-rich oatmeal, you're creating a kind of metabolic seesaw. Oatmeal, on its own, has a moderate effect on your blood sugar. The fiber helps to slow down the absorption of carbohydrates, giving you sustained energy. This is one of its biggest benefits. But when you dump in a load of refined sugar, you introduce a flood of simple carbohydrates that hit your bloodstream very quickly. This rapid influx of sugar spikes your blood sugar levels. Your body, particularly your pancreas, has to work overtime to release insulin to bring those levels back down. Now, here's where the problem starts. This rapid spike followed by a rapid drop is what causes that dreaded sugar crash an hour or two after you eat. You feel tired, maybe a little shaky, suddenly hungry again, and reaching for another sugary snack. This completely counteracts the slow-burning energy promise of oatmeal. For people over 60, managing blood sugar is often more critical, as we have a higher risk of developing insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. Regularly subjecting your body to these sugar spikes and crashes isn't just about feeling tired. It puts a strain on your metabolic system. Furthermore, the combination of refined sugar and the complex carbohydrates in oatmeal can sometimes lead to increased fermentation in the gut. While some fermentation is normal and healthy for producing beneficial short-chain fatty acids, excessive fermentation, especially fueled by simple sugars, can lead to uncomfortable symptoms like bloating, gas, and indigestion. You might finish your supposedly healthy bowl of oatmeal feeling puffed up and uncomfortable, which is the opposite of how you want to start your day. Instead of feeling light and energized, you feel heavy and sluggish. Think about a time you had a really sweet breakfast. Maybe it tasted great going down. But how did you feel an hour later? That's often the sugar effect. So, what's the alternative? Well, you can sweeten your oatmeal naturally with things like fresh or frozen berries, sliced banana, or a sprinkle of cinnamon, which actually helps regulate blood sugar. A tiny drizzle of pure maple syrup or raw honey is okay in moderation, but the key is moderation and focusing on whole food sweetness first. The goal is to let the fiber in the oatmeal do its job in keeping your blood sugar stable. Adding refined sugar sabotages this process. It's like trying to drive with the brakes on. You're working against the natural efficiency of the vehicle. It's a simple swap, but it can make a profound difference in your energy levels and digestive comfort throughout the morning. Moving on to the second food that can cause issues when paired with oatmeal, let's talk about dairy milk. Specifically full-fat dairy milk added in large quantities, especially cold. Now, this might sound controversial because milk and oatmeal are a classic combination. However, for many people, particularly as we age, digesting lactose, the sugar in milk, becomes more difficult. Our bodies produce less of the enzyme lactase, which is needed to break down lactose. When undigested lactose reaches the colon, it ferments, leading to gas, bloating, cramps, and sometimes even diarrhea. Mixing this potentially hard-to-digest lactose with the high-fiber content of oatmeal can exacerbate these issues for some individuals. The fiber is working its way through your system, and if it encounters a pool of undigested lactose causing fermentation, things can get uncomfortable very quickly. Think about it. You've got a complex carbohydrate source and a potentially indigestible sugar source mixing together. It can create a traffic jam in your digestive tract. While warm milk might be slightly easier on the stomach for some, cold milk can be even more of a shock to the system, potentially slowing down digestion further and increasing the likelihood of discomfort. This isn't everyone. Of course, some people tolerate dairy milk just fine. But for a significant portion of the population over a certain age, dairy can be a hidden source of digestive distress. You might not even connect it to your breakfast because you've always eaten oatmeal with milk. You just think, "Oh, I guess I'm feeling a bit gassy today." Or, "My stomach feels heavy." Without realizing the simple combination is the culprit. Consider trying a dairy-free alternative instead. Almond milk, soy milk, oat milk unsweetened, or even just water can cook your oats beautifully. You can still get creaminess by adding a dollop of yogurt after cooking dairy or non-dairy, or some healthy fats like a swirl of nut butter or a sprinkle of chia seeds. These alternatives don't contain lactose, so they eliminate that particular digestive challenge. If you love the taste of dairy, try using a smaller amount, warming it first, or even experimenting with lactose-free dairy milk options. The point is, if you regularly experience digestive discomfort after eating oatmeal with dairy milk, it's worth experimenting with this swap to see if it makes a difference. It's about listening to your body and recognizing that what worked perfectly fine in your 20s or 30s might not be the best choice for you now. It's about optimizing your nutrition, not just sticking to old habits. Finally, let's look at the third food that can turn your oatmeal into a less than ideal meal, and that's highly processed breakfast meats like bacon, sausage, or ham, especially when added into the oatmeal or eaten immediately alongside it. Now, I know some people love the sweet and savory combination, perhaps crumbling bacon bits into their oats, but these processed meats are high in saturated fat, sodium, and often nitrates and other additives. Eating them frequently is already linked to various health issues, but the specific interaction with oatmeal adds another layer. Oatmeal is fantastic for its soluble fiber content, particularly beta-glucan, which helps lower cholesterol and slow sugar absorption. It also helps regulate bowel movements. Processed meats, on the other hand, are very low in fiber and high in difficult-to-digest fats and proteins. When you combine a meal high in fiber with a food that requires a lot of digestive effort and offers very little fiber itself, you can slow down the entire digestive process. The high-fat content in processed meats takes a long time to break down and move through the digestive tract. This can lead to that heavy, full, sometimes even nauseous feeling after eating. It can also contribute to constipation, which is the opposite effect you want from fiber-rich oatmeal. Think about it like this. Oatmeal is trying to gently sweep things through your system, while greasy processed meat is creating sticky roadblocks. The digestive enzymes your body produces are optimized for different types of foods. Asking your system to efficiently process both the complex fiber of oats and the heavy fats and proteins of processed meat simultaneously can overwhelm it, leading to inefficiency and discomfort. The nitrates and other chemicals in processed meats can also potentially irritate the gut lining, further contributing to digestive issues, while enjoying a side of eggs or avocado with your oatmeal can add healthy protein and fats that pair well with the fiber. Adding fatty. Processed meats often creates more problems than it solves. Instead of processed meats, consider adding lean protein like eggs on the side, or plant-based proteins like nuts, seeds, or a scoop of protein powder blended in. These provide satiety and muscle support without the digestive burden and unhealthy compounds found in processed meats. It's about creating a meal that works together synergistically, where each component supports the others for optimal digestion and nutrient absorption. By being mindful of these first three common additions, refined sugar, dairy milk if you're intolerant, and processed meats, you can already significantly improve your oatmeal experience and ensure it's truly a breakfast that nourishes and energizes you, rather than causing discomfort or energy crashes. Let's continue our journey into more foods you might want to reconsider adding to your morning bowl. Moving on, let's talk about the fourth food item that can cause issues when combined with your beloved oatmeal dried fruit, particularly when added in large quantities without being mindful of sugar content and portion size. Now, dried fruit seems healthy. Right, it's fruit, after all. And a sprinkle of raisins or cranberries adds sweetness and chewiness. However, the process of drying fruit removes most of the water, concentrating the sugars significantly. While dried fruit does retain some fiber and nutrients, its sugar content per serving is much higher than fresh fruit. For example, a small box of raisins can contain as much sugar as a candy bar. When you add a generous amount of dried fruit to your oatmeal, especially on top of already sweet oats, you're essentially creating another sugar bomb. This, similar to refined sugar, can lead to a rapid spike in blood sugar, followed by that familiar crash. The fiber in the oatmeal helps to some extent, but it can be overwhelmed by the concentrated sugars from the dried fruit. For people managing blood sugar levels, this combination can be particularly problematic. It might seem like a healthy way to add sweetness, but it can have a similar effect on your glucose metabolism as adding spoonfuls of table sugar. Beyond the sugar impact, dried fruit can also be harder to digest for some people due to its concentrated nature and stickiness. If not chewed thoroughly, it can sit heavier in the stomach. Some commercially prepared dried fruits also contain added sugars or sulfites, which can cause digestive issues or sensitivities in some individuals. While a small sprinkle might be okay for flavor, adding a large handful can turn your healthy fiber-rich breakfast into a high-sugar meal that works against your goal of stable energy and good digestion. A better alternative is to use fresh or frozen fruit, berries, sliced banana, diced apple, or peach slices offer natural sweetness, more water content, and typically more volume for fewer calories and less concentrated sugar. Frozen berries are excellent because they thaw slightly in the warm oatmeal, releasing their juices and sweetness naturally. They also retain their antioxidants well. If you really love dried fruit, use it sparingly, perhaps just a tablespoon for flavor, and choose varieties with no added sugar or sulfites. Rehydrating dried fruit in warm water for a few minutes before adding it can also make it slightly easier to digest for some people. It's about enjoying the natural sweetness of fruit in its most wholesome form, rather than its condensed, sugary version that can upset the balance of your oatmeal. Next on our list, the fifth food to approach with caution when mixing with oatmeal artificial sweeteners. This might surprise you, as many people switch to artificial sweeteners to avoid the issues with sugar. However, while they don't contain calories or cause blood sugar spikes in the same way refined sugar does, artificial sweeteners can pose their own set of problems, particularly for gut health, which is intimately linked to overall well-being as we age. Research is increasingly showing that artificial sweeteners can negatively impact the balance of bacteria in your gut microbiome. A healthy gut relies on a diverse population of beneficial bacteria. Some studies suggest that artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin can alter the composition of gut bacteria, potentially reducing beneficial species and increasing those that might contribute to inflammation or digestive distress. This disruption can lead to symptoms like bloating, gas, and altered bowel function, the very things oatmeal is supposed to help prevent. Furthermore, for some individuals, sugar alcohols often used in sugar-free products like sorbitol, mannitol, xylitol, which are sometimes found alongside artificial sweeteners or used as bulk sweeteners, are poorly absorbed in the small intestine. This means they travel to the large intestine, where they are fermented by bacteria, leading to significant gas, bloating, and a laxative effect. So, while you're trying to make your oatmeal healthier by avoiding sugar, you might be introducing ingredients that cause different, but equally uncomfortable digestive symptoms. It's a trade-off that often isn't worth it, especially when your digestive system might already be a bit more sensitive. Your body is incredibly complex, and even things that don't provide calories can have profound effects. The sweet taste of artificial sweeteners might also mess with your body's natural response to sweetness, potentially increasing cravings for sugary foods later in the day. Instead of relying on artificial sweeteners or sugar alcohols, focus on the natural sweetness of fruit as we discussed, or use warming spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, or cardamom, which add flavor without any sugar or artificial compounds. Vanilla extract is another great way to enhance the sweetness perception without adding sugar. Learning to appreciate the subtle, natural flavors of your food is a journey, but one that pays off in terms of both digestive comfort and overall health. It's about retraining your palate away from intense sweetness and towards the nourishing taste of whole foods. The sixth food that can cause issues when combined with oatmeal might also seem unexpected: large amounts of protein powder, especially certain types, mixed directly into the hot oatmeal. Adding protein to your breakfast is a great idea. It helps with satiety and supports muscle maintenance, which is crucial as we age. However, the type and amount of protein powder and how it's added can sometimes create problems when mixed into hot oats. Some protein powders, particularly whey protein, can become clumpy or take on an unpleasant texture when heated to high temperatures or mixed into very hot liquid. This can make the oatmeal unappetizing and difficult to mix smoothly. Beyond texture, certain protein powders, especially those containing high amounts of dairy derivatives like whey or casein, or those with added thickeners, gums, or artificial ingredients, can be difficult for some people to digest. Mixing a large scoop of this into a thick, fiber-rich base like oatmeal can slow down digestion even further, leading to a heavy feeling, bloating, and gas. It's a lot for your stomach to break down all at once. The complex carbs and fiber from the oats plus a concentrated dose of protein that might also contain hard-to-digest additives. Plant-based protein powders can also cause issues if they contain ingredients that don't agree with you, like pea protein, which can be gassy for some, or if they are heavily processed with gums and fillers. The point isn't that protein powder is bad, but mixing a lot of certain types directly into your hot oatmeal can create a less digestible meal than you intended. A better approach is to choose a high-quality, easily digestible protein powder, like a plain or vanilla-flavored one with minimal added ingredients, and mix it into your oatmeal. After it has cooled slightly, or better yet, blend it separately with a liquid like milk or water and then swirl it into your cooked oats. Alternatively, get your protein from whole food sources on the side, like a handful of nuts, seeds, a dollop of Greek yogurt if you tolerate dairy, or a couple of scrambled eggs. This ensures you get the protein boost without potentially creating a heavy, hard-to-digest concoction in your bowl. It's about making sure all the components of your meal work together harmoniously for easy and efficient digestion. These considerations might seem small, but paying attention to these details can significantly improve how you feel after your morning meal and ensure you're getting the most out of your healthy oatmeal. All right, We've covered 6 common additions that can make your oatmeal less friendly than it should be. We started with refined sugar and its blood sugar roller coaster, then discussed how dairy milk can be problematic for lactose intolerance and digestion, followed by processed meats and their heavy, disruptive fats and additives. We then looked at the concentrated sugars in dried fruit, the potential gut disruption from artificial sweeteners, and the digestive burden of certain protein powders when mixed incorrectly. Now, let's talk about the 7th food item that can turn your otherwise healthy oatmeal into something potentially irritating for your gut: excessive amounts of nuts and seeds, especially when not properly prepared. Now, before you gasp, let me be clear, nuts and seeds are incredibly healthy. They are packed with healthy fats, protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Adding a sprinkle of nuts or seeds to your oatmeal is generally an excellent way to boost its nutritional value and make it more satisfying. The issue arises when you add excessive quantities, or when the nuts and seeds are raw and unsoaked or unsprouted. Nuts and seeds contain phytic acid, an anti-nutrient that can bind to minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium in your digestive tract, making them less available for absorption by your body. They also contain enzyme inhibitors, which can make them harder to digest, while our bodies can handle small amounts of phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors. Consuming large quantities, especially in raw form, alongside a meal like oatmeal, can potentially hinder the absorption of the very nutrients you're trying to get from your breakfast and other foods consumed around the same time. For individuals over 60, nutrient absorption can sometimes already be less efficient. So minimizing factors that further impede it is important. Imagine you're eating a bowl of oatmeal, which contains beneficial minerals itself. If you pile on a large handful of raw almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds, the phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors in those nuts and seeds can latch onto the minerals from both the oatmeal and themselves, reducing how much your body can actually use. This doesn't mean you won't absorb any nutrients, but it's certainly not optimal. Furthermore, the high fat and fiber content in large quantities of nuts and seeds, while healthy, can also slow down digestion considerably for some people, leading to that heavy, sometimes uncomfortable feeling we've discussed. So, how do you enjoy the benefits of nuts and seeds with your oatmeal without creating these potential issues? Portion control is key. A small handful, about 1–2 tablespoons, is usually a sufficient amount to add healthy fats, protein, and crunch without overdoing it. Even better, consider using soaked or sprouted nuts and seeds. Soaking nuts and seeds in water for several hours, then draining and rinsing them helps to reduce the levels of phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors, making them easier to digest and improving mineral bioavailability. Sprouting goes a step further and significantly reduces anti-nutrients while often increasing certain vitamins. While this requires a little planning ahead, it can make a big difference in how your body processes these nutrient-dense powerhouses. Another option is to lightly toast your nuts and seeds. While this doesn't reduce phytic acid as effectively as soaking or sprouting, it can make them slightly easier to chew and break down, aiding digestion. Using ground seeds, like ground flaxseed or chia seeds, can also be easier to digest than whole seeds. The takeaway here is that while nuts and seeds are fantastic additions, quantity and preparation matter when combining them with a complex food like oatmeal, especially if you experience digestive sensitivity or want to maximize nutrient absorption. So, there you have it. 7 common foods that, while often seen as healthy or harmless, can turn your nutritious bowl of oatmeal into something that might cause discomfort, energy crashes, or hinder nutrient absorption when mixed together. We talked about refined sugar hijacking oatmeal's blood sugar benefits, dairy milk causing issues for the lactose intolerant, processed meats being a digestive burden, dried fruit packing a concentrated sugar punch, artificial sweeteners potentially harming gut health, large amounts of certain protein powders being hard to digest when hot, and excessive or raw nuts and seeds interfering with mineral absorption. Now, please don't misunderstand me. This isn't about making you afraid of oatmeal or any of these foods individually. Oatmeal is still a wonderful, heart-healthy, fiber-rich food that can be an amazing part of your diet, especially as you get older. And many of these other foods, like fruit, nuts, and seeds, are incredibly nutritious in their own right. The key takeaway here is that combinations matter. How you prepare and what you add to your oatmeal can drastically change its impact on your body. Small, conscious choices can make a world of difference. Swapping refined sugar for fresh fruit or cinnamon, using a dairy alternative or less milk, choosing lean protein sources over processed meats, being mindful of dried fruit portions, opting for natural sweeteners, using protein powder correctly, and enjoying nuts and seeds in moderation, maybe even soaked or sprouted. These aren't huge, complicated changes. They are simple adjustments you can make that can transform your morning experience from feeling bloated and tired to feeling energized, comfortable, and truly nourished. Think of your breakfast as setting the stage for your entire day. You want it to be a foundation of stable energy and gentle digestion. By being aware of these potential food pairings, you are taking control of your health in a simple, practical way. You're empowering yourself to make choices that truly support your well-being and help you feel your best at every age. It's about optimizing what you're already doing, making smart tweaks to get the maximum benefit. I encourage you to try making just 1 or 2 of these changes and see how you feel. Maybe swap your usual sweetener for some berries, or try your oatmeal with a splash of almond milk instead of dairy milk for a week. Pay attention to your body, your energy levels, your digestion, how you feel an hour or 2 after eating. You might be surprised at the positive difference these small adjustments can make. If you found this information helpful, please let me know in the comments below. Have you experienced any issues with these combinations? Do you have other tips for making oatmeal even better? I'd love to hear from you and learn from your experiences. Sharing helps us all learn and grow together. And if you'd like to continue learning about simple ways to boost your health and live your best life at every age, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. We share practical, easy to follow advice just like this every week. Don't miss out on future videos that can help you feel healthier, happier, and more vibrant. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, your health is your greatest wealth, and taking small steps each day is the key to living your best life at every age.